Do I introduce to you Mr. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I introduce to you Mr. Brian Ritchie. What's up, Brian?
How's it going, D? Glad to be here with you guys tonight, brother.
Glad to have you here. And just jumping right into it, I don't want to tell tales out of school, but you have to hire a little security before you were even comfortable doing the show.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it was necessary to deal with situations I've had to deal with in the past due to my past profession and my past line of work. I do want to offer just a little bit of clarification for the listeners tonight. I am not, nor have I ever been in the military, or have I ever worked for the CIA. I have, due to my profession, worked with both the military, the CIA. I've worked with special ops teams from the USA, Australia, Britain, Germany, Israel, and a few more. I would love to divulge more than that, but that's about as far as I can go on that subject.
That's about as far as you can tell us on that.
That's as far as I can go with that, brother.
Well, that's completely understandable. No worries, bro.
I mean, to be, I guess you could say I was a contractor. That would be the easiest way to put it.
Well, I'll change that specialist to contractor because we understand that you're independent and all that. Anyways, moving forward, for any who have heard it already, the incident where the gentleman ran into a not a skinwalker, but what would you describe it as, Brian?
Oh, it was definitely I did not know this
the rake creature
at the time. Yes. I didn't understand what I was seeing at the time, but through research and time passing and learning more about what happened, I and a few gentlemen that I work with on a regular basis had a couple of different encounters that involved Dogman and Rakes.
Which I think the between the two, I think you'd rather run into the Dogman.
9 times out of 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. I have a huge amount of respect for I don't even like calling them creatures or cryptids or the terms that people use for them. And people may understand more why I say that here in a bit, but as far as referring to the Dogman, but that Rake creature that's a whole different beast. That's something that I don't feel is a natural creature, for lack of a better term.
Right.
And folks, you've heard us talk about the natural and unnatural creatures before. I believe the atypical Dogman and Bigfoot creatures are natural creatures.
I wholeheartedly agree.
But anyways, so please continue, not to cut you off, sir.
Oh, hey, it's no problem, brother. Well, just to, I guess for some clarification and so people understand who they're listening to tonight, because I know some of the things I'm going to say are going to sound very out there. It's going to stretch some people. I get nothing out of this. I'm not going to have a YouTube channel. I'm not going to write a book. I'm not going to do any of those things to make to become famous or to make money or anything off any of this. I'm doing this because I believe in the BDRP. I believe in the project. I believe in what's happening here, what we're trying to do here, and what we're trying to educate people so that they have a greater understanding of what is happening in the lands that surround us. Okay? Since 1990, I joined a government agency. I have been to many countries. I have been on several continents. I have helped our military, the CIA, and a few other agencies that most probably have not heard of, fight against people and in places like ISIS, the Taliban, drug cartels, insurgents, and many other types of areas. I have spent a life grounded in reality. I have spent a life grounded in combat and training. And once I stopped doing these things and I retired to be with my family, I took on a mission to help veterans, pardon, cope with transition into civilian life and to become a part of their communities and stuff. And part in doing this, you know, you have to use the skills that God's given you in order to be a productive member of society. So I take these guys out. We go on trips. We train together. We go on what we like to call field ops. They're not anything official. It is just to get out, get some exercise, do the things that we're familiar with, and to understand that there is a place for us here still. And while doing these things, we've encountered some crazy things, some things more normal. You know, we've come across people cooking drugs, things that's along those lines. But the things that we experienced, you know, the first time I was alone, I went out to scout an area to just get kind of pre-prep for the guys. So I knew where we were going to be going. I knew the kind of area we were going to be in and know the places we needed to set up for camps and stuff. And that was my first encounter that Tex had relayed on a BDRP about me seeing a Dogman get attacked by this thing that I later learned is what most people are calling the Rake. I still know very little about the Rake. There's not a ton of information out there. There's a lot of sensationalism and very little actual information, but it just kind of snowballed from there. My second encounter, we actually lost some guys. You guys will have to excuse me if I get a little emotional on this because these guys mean something to me.
Well, I completely understand, brother. Just take your time and explain it the way you want to. You got an open field there.
You know, we lost some guys on our second encounter. And it took me a bit to talk these guys even to going back to going out in this area after relaying to them the story of what happened the first time when I was alone. There was some serious cover-ups with the FBI, Fish and Game, local state police. This stuff never hit the papers. It never hit the radio. It never hit the TV. And I can't lie that I'm do have a little bit of bitterness in the fact that men that I see as brothers died and were not recognized in any way, shape, or form.
So just to be clear, you're saying that on this particular outing that you had, there were people that actually died, ex-military veterans.
Yes,
or
sir.
never ex-military, and there was a cover-up with this because of the nature of how they died, or
Yes. When we called the authorities, because when we carried our wounded out. We don't, that's something I adopted from working with the military and all the different branches that I've worked with. Is that you don't leave anybody there. You leave with who you came in with, dead or alive. That's how that works. And we called the state police, was the first ones we called. They showed up. Minutes after they showed up, Fish and Game showed up. They were cordoning off the area. Within a couple of hours, there was several government agents arrived. We were all told, and yes, for anybody listening, yes, I am running a risk here, but I'm done, and I don't live my life based on fear. I refuse to do that. I will not and cannot. But we were told for a long time. Now, this has been several years ago. This is not recent. This thing that happened was not recent. It's been several years ago. We were told that we need to keep our mouth shut. We were threatened in the ways the government likes to do. But
so they were aware that you guys knew what was going on. You knew it was an unnatural creature, and if you could expand upon that, what was said to you when the authorities arrived?
I truly believe, to start that little ball rolling, I truly believe they knew exactly what we were talking about. Because you would expect when you describe something like that to someone who's never seen or heard of it, for them to be surprised or dubious or at least skeptical, and they weren't.
So there was no look of shock or surprise whatsoever whenever you were explaining what happened to your friends.
The state PD guys, yeah, they were a bit put off. But anywhere from the Fish and Game up to FBI, no, they did not seem surprised whatsoever. They kept referring to it as the creature. Keep your mouth shut. You don't talk about the creature, not that thing or that monster or, this thing you guys think you saw or what. No, they just kept saying the creature. You will keep your mouth shut.
So were they trying to steer your way of thinking? You know what you saw, but that they start using rhetoric like, oh, well, this creature you saw instead of what you described?
Yeah, they would never, ever refer to it based on the description, just the creature. That's what they just kept calling it over and over and over. And it was funny that Fish and Game and FBI were using the same term, the creature.
When FBI showed up, given your background as a contractor with all these agencies and with the military, did that come into play at all? Did they take you to the side like, look, we know that you've been privy to certain information. This is what's going on. Or did they just completely shut you out and try to send this rhetoric your way?
Oh, they tried to shut us down quickly. I mean, they didn't want us talking any more than necessary. As a matter of fact, the first thing that happened is when the state police got there, they took statements, they listened to us, there was ambulances called. When the FBI got there, we were all put in cuffs. We were put in cuffs and put in the dirt like we had done something wrong. I know what they were doing. I get it. I've been there. again, working in other countries against people like ISIS and Al Qaeda and stuff. You got to intimidate the enemy. You got to make them believe you're going to do way worse than you're actually going to do. And I believe that's what they were doing, was trying to intimidate us into the point where we would just do as we're told, be cooperative. And for the longest time, we did. I mean, nobody talked about this for a long time. I mean, we're talking, all right, this has been 15 plus years ago.
Oh, wow.
You guys this is the first time I've ever talked about this publicly.
And I'm honored that you do with the BDRP, and I appreciate your kind words about the project. We're doing our best to get the right information out there for folks.
Well, brother, I know that, and I go where integrity exists.
I sincerely appreciate that from the bottom of my heart, on behalf of every field investigator and everyone attached to the BDRP. But my first thought in the position that you're talking about would be, okay, here comes Guantanamo Bay. I'm going to jail for murder, or they're going to label me a terrorist because of all this weirdness. Was there anything like that running through your mind? Or
absolutely. When they put us in the dirt, cuffed us up, I think that's what all the surviving members of the team were thinking, is that we're screwed. We're going to disappear. No one's going to see us. No one's going to know what happened to us. It was actually very surprising that we were allowed to leave when we were. Now, understand that from the time the state police got there, the very first responders that got there, to the time that we left was hours. This did not happen in minutes. It took hours. There was a lot of radio chatter and phone calls made that we weren't privy to the conversation, so I cannot tell you what they were talking to their superiors about. I have no idea. They were not going to let us overhear that stuff. But it was made very clear to us that they had our number. They knew who we were. They knew where we lived. They knew where our families were. And it was made very clear to us that we could suffer the consequences. And at the time, my children were very, very young. They were babies. Now my kids, this may sound harsh to some of you, but I don't expect you to understand if you've never lived the life of a man like I am. But my kids are trained. My kids are well-trained human beings. And
I know exactly what you mean, bro. Like,
yeah.
My daughter can use a knife better than some grown men. So I know what you're saying.
I discussed this with my family. And doing the show tonight, I didn't just discuss this with my wife. I discussed this with my whole family. And everybody agreed that it needed to be done. They know what's going on. And that's, as you referred to earlier, I do have a 3-man security team around my perimeter right now. Like right now. There's 2 Marine Raiders and a previous Navy SEAL outside my house right now.
Do you think the repercussions for you coming forward would be that severe?
Possibly.
Why take the risk, right?
It has to be done. It has to be done because I'm tired of the lies and I'm tired of the misconceptions. People need to understand what is around us. And I've just finally reached a point, especially with my most current experiences, that I believe this has got to come out. It's got to come out more. People need to know what's going on.
Can you tell us what state this happened in without being too specific?
Kentucky.
Cryptid Disney World, folks.
Yeah, I don't mind saying it at all. It's everything that I've just talked about happened in Kentucky.
So you have this incident where your friends were killed. Where was your mind after this? You saw these creatures that aren't supposed to exist, and all of a sudden, men you were close to lose their lives.
Well, just as men who've been in combat know, I was angry. You know, I was very angry. I wanted to do something about it. Actually, there's a third experience with the Rake. That this one does not involve Dogman whatsoever. That I've been planning on emailing to text to have him relate, that I haven't gotten to, that is kind of goes perfectly along the lines of the question you just asked. How did I feel about it? It's not just how I felt about it, it's what we did about it.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like something I want to hear. What did you do about it?
If you would rather, do it just the way you did the other two encounters, that's fine, and I'll take care of it. But if you want to relay it here, you're more than welcome to.
Give me just a minute. I'm taking a drink of beer because I'm going to need some nerve.
You take your time, bro. Our time is your time right now, and it's live, so they're waiting on us just like you are. So you take your time. People are patient at the BDRP.
All right, brother. We hunted it. We went looking for it this time. Now, there was only 4 of us left who were willing to do this. And I may do this in greater detail to where it can be put out.
Yeah, that's fine, and go into
later,
more.
But
however you want to do it.
Whatever kind of unnatural creature these are, they die. They bleed and they die. It took us about 6 weeks. We were very angry, and we wanted, it's not a matter of revenge, it was a matter of a reckoning. There was a price that needed to be paid.
Man, wow. So
4 men with Barrett 50 caliber rifles can do quite a bit.
No doubt.
How
long ago did this occur, as opposed to your first experience with this
It was
creature?
about 1.5 years after our brothers died. It took us a while to get the nerve up to go back. Because, I mean, me and every one of these men that I was with, these are multiple tour veterans. These weren't just guys that went in the Army and, did a stint stateside. These were combat veterans. And this thing scared the crap out of us. I mean, it is terrifying. It's terrifying. The things that we faced, the odds that we faced, the people that we fought, the places that we've been. This thing made us feel a level of fear that no human being has ever made us feel.
So you wouldn't classify this thing as an animal?
No. I can't think of a better term than to call it a demon.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree from the descriptions I've read and the reports that I've been sent about this thing, and I always set it to the side and I talk to the people personally, but I didn't know what to do with it because I deal with data and it didn't really fit into any parameters that I was used to.
Yeah, I'll put it this way, brother. It took 47 rounds of 50 caliber.
47 rounds of 50 caliber. Wow.
47 rounds of 50 caliber over a 7.5 mile stretch.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that this creature may have been man-made? I know that you know about the domes. And that's a theory that I've been working with because they've so much as announced it in a roundabout way in the public that there's these experiments going on with splicing this creature with that creature, human DNA with this type of beast. Did it look like anything that could have been an amalgamation of different creatures, or was it just straight up some hideous monster?
It was just a hideous monster. Did not look like an amalgamation, but I will tell you this. In my research since then, I still have friends that are active military right now. I have my suspicions, especially when you factor in Fish and Game and the FBI's response. I have my suspicions that this thing is lab grown. I'm not going to swear to that, so please, nobody, I'm not claiming that it is. But I definitely have my suspicions.
I can't get over the 47 rounds of 50 caliber shot. And I understand it's over 7 miles, but like if an elephant or a water buffalo takes one of those shots, it's done.
Yeah, it was a run and gun for 7.5 mile stretch.
And it's just eating these shots. Did it? Could you tell that it was affecting it at the very least? Because I couldn't imagine even what kind of muscle mass would you
definitely you could tell that there was an effect. Just wouldn't go down. Just would not go down. I mean, the final 3 shots were 6 inches from the barrel to the cranium. And it didn't stop moving till the last shot.
Dude. All right. Here's the big question that I have. And I'll understand why you wouldn't be able to answer it. But if you kill something, there's a body.
Yes.
What happened to this body?
This is where it gets very interesting. This entire time that we were hunting this thing, we honestly believed it was just the 4 of us. We were alone. Within 15 minutes of this thing's body stopped twitching, there was 4 helicopters above us.
Wow. 4 helicopters.
I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and tell you something I've never even told my wife.
Well, before you do, I just want to point out that this is far and beyond our record live show. It's 350 listeners. So you're going to be, after the fact, it's going to be a lot of people that know about it. But
we spent, that's fine. That's fine. Again, I'm done hiding in the shadows, brother.
Yes, sir.
We spent, all 4 of us spent 6 months in a military lockup. That did not happen. The hunt took place here in Kentucky. We were transported out of state for lockup. A lot of tough and bad and rough things happened in that amount of time. So, like I said, for many years, nobody's talked about it. And I actually made contact with the 3 guys that were with me that night over the last 2 days now to let them know I was going to do this. One of them understands. The other 2 are very pissed off at me right now. They get it, but they're not happy.
That's completely understandable.
All I was asked was to not, which I wouldn't have anyway, but was to not name their names, which, sure. In all honesty, I wasn't going to put my name out there tonight. But, as we talked earlier before the show, I'm too old. I'm too old to give a crap about that anymore. I'm just done. And I've taken, other than the security team I have outside my house right now, I've taken a couple other steps to ensure I don't get, if somebody's going to take me out, brother, they're going to have to do it real quiet and real secret.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it would look awful funny you putting your real name out there for anybody who wants to validate your credentials or whatever, for them to do something to you on such a public scale right after you say all this stuff. So,
well, sometimes it's better to hide in plain sight.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
You know,
so,
and I'm just, like I said, I'm done hiding. People got to know.
When you guys kill this thing, this Rake type creature, these helicopters descend on you, and they just, I mean, do they just haul you off right then and there?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
no words, no anything.
No, it was like being hit by a CQB team. I mean, they came in, we got hammered, we got strapped up with flex cuffs, and they took the body. That went into a chopper separate from us. To be honest with you, I'm not even sure who they were. I don't know if we were picked. I don't know if they were feds. I don't know if they were military. Everybody was dressed in black. Nobody talked. We just knew we were outnumbered, and it was made very clear from all the guns, and because we were all wearing nods, which is a night vision device. We could see the infrared lasers pointed at us. It was, I honestly thought we were going to die. I thought they were going to kill us.
So they came in, look, I mean, if they had to, they were going to wreck shop if y'all tried to pull any kind of
if we would have done anything stupid, I wouldn't be talking to you today.
Wow, I can believe it. So it's just wild. Okay, you're thrown in jail for 4 months.
6.
For 6 months?
6 months.
Wow. Were you able to talk to your wife? I mean, how did you handle that? You're a family man.
My wife was informed by a local sheriff whoever, I don't know who talked to him. I have no idea. My wife was informed by a local sheriff that I was picked up and I was under threat of being charged with federal offenses and being court-martialed by the military. They told her that the only thing they told her was that I had been picked up on property that belonged to the military that I wasn't supposed to be on, which is absolutely not right. It's absolutely not right. We weren't anywhere near a military base or anything. So, and the next time she heard anything, was 6 months later when I called her and told her I was coming home.
Wow, that's madness.
She had contacted and tried to hire an attorney. The attorney tried to find out what was going on and could find nothing. There was absolutely no communication whatsoever to her attorney. So,
did they? I mean, they had to debrief you at some point. What was that like?
The closest thing to a debrief that we got was I'll tell you what. For the first 3 months, the only person I saw was the guard who brought me food and escorted me to a shower. Otherwise, I had no communication with a single human being for the first 3 months. After that, they brought the 4 of us together and started making their, it was just for a few minutes at a time. They'd bring us together. They would threaten us with a United States military code court-martial, which anybody who thinks they can't court-martial civilian, you're wrong. They can. But then we spent another 3 months, and then after that, we were once again brought together and informed that should we disclose any information in any official capacity whatsoever, that the U.S. government would prosecute us to the fullest extent of the law. And, you know, me being
under what parameters, though? Like,
right. Me being the smart ass that I am, I can't help myself. I said, prosecute me for what? Killing something that you said doesn't exist?
Exactly.
What do you, and that man's, I'll never forget the look in his face, because it was the most blank stare I've ever gotten from another human being. And he said, for whatever we decide to bury you with.
Jesus.
So, like I said, for a long time, we were pretty happy to keep our mouth shut.
No, yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, because it's not just your ass you're covering. You know.
Right. I mean, I had 3 other guys I had to worry about.
Not to mention your family.
And then, exactly. And then I get home and I've got to worry about, are they going to try to mess with my kids? Are they going to try to mess with my wife? You know, are they going to cost us jobs? Are they going to screw with our finances? Because it doesn't take the government. I mean, your local PD, anybody listening right now, anywhere you live right now, your local PD can screw your finances up. They can lock you down. You know, so I know the repercussions. I've been through this. I've seen it. I've seen it in this country. I've seen it in 9 other countries. If they want to shut you down, they'll shut you down.
Yeah, Big Brother is not your friend.
Not even close. And then, of course,
yeah, go ahead. I apologize.
This has led to, you know, the most recent thing. I didn't have an experience again for a long time. It wasn't until 2003 that, which is, I know, something that we've got to get into to get to the real meat of tonight's discussion.
Before we move on a little bit, what I was going to ask you is, for the listeners just joining us, and for those who don't know, can you, and you're calling it rake for lack of a better term, but could you describe exactly what it was you saw in as much detail as you can remember?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I guess we kind of should have done that earlier.
Don't worry, man. I'm a terrible host.
Somewhere between 11. Now, it's hard to judge because these things move fast. Okay. I mean, they make, gosh, I can't even compare it to anything that people are familiar with. It's insanely fast. You ever have something move past you so quickly that it almost leaves an after image in your vision for just that split second? It's like that. Between 11 to 15 feet tall. You know, the first one I saw, I don't think it was quite that big, because I don't think the one that we killed was the same one I saw the first time. I'm not sure that it was anyway. It's, how do you describe this? Gangly, long limbs, very pale skin, very fair skinned looking, no hair, no lips, no nose, just like a hole where the nose should be, large eyes, and a disproportionate amount of teeth to what you would expect to see in a mouse that size. And
Did it have an elongated type mouth or snout or?
No.
Oh, really?
No, its face was very human shaped. Just imagine a human with no nose, just a hole where the nose should be, a semi-flat brow, and a very straight line mouth with no lips, but like a big mouth though, like a very large mouth. The hands, do you call them fingers or claws? I don't know. It didn't look like fingers. It just looked like hands that went into claws. Were several inches long each. Like, I don't know, 6 to 8 inch claws. It moved in a hunched. The times when it didn't move super fast, it looked kind of hunched, gangly but muscular. You know what I mean? You ever see one of those thin guys that he like you could see a lot of muscle definition? He's just not bulky.
He was ripped.
Yeah, like ripped, like crazy ripped, but not bulky.
Right.
And it had, how do I say this? It's not an odor, but it's like being able to smell something really strong. It's how the fear that emanated from it came from it. It came off almost like an odor. It wasn't not literally an odor, but
its presence.
When something, just by being nearby, can make hardened, trained killers feel like little boys hiding under a blanket in the middle of the night, there's something there. You know what I mean?
It exuded fear, basically.
It was hard not to urinate on myself. And I know that may seem embarrassing to say to some people, but that's the truth. It made it very hard to not feel like I needed to urinate on myself. Even when we hunted it, when we knew what we were going after, when we were die-hard, dedicated, convinced that we had to take this thing out, every time we got within sight of it, that fear was there.
So it was like almost an uncontrollable fear.
Absolutely. Like I said, you're trying to focus on what you're trying to do, but you're also trying not to piss on yourself. It almost to the point. I'll tell you what, had we not been trained and experienced to the point that we were, I don't know that it wouldn't have debilitated us. And that's the God's honest truth.
Wow.
And to anybody who wants to know for sure, is this Brian Ritchie guy telling you the truth tonight? I am a God-fearing, Jesus-believing, saved Christian human being and a father and a husband. I have no reason to BS anybody about anything. This is all about reality tonight.
Well, I actively investigate the areas that these natural creatures live in, and I wouldn't want to run into that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's bananas.
D, I will
sorry that
keep
you
that
had
in my prayers that you never do.
I appreciate that because I never
I
want.
hope none of you, Tex, or any of the other investigators, any of the other researchers, anybody listening, I don't want anybody to come near this thing. Now, I've been fortunate and thank the good Lord above, I have not run into one of these things since then. And I hope to God I never do again. I may not be lucky enough to have a team of trained soldiers with me the next time, and I don't think that I could do that on my own. I said the first time I saw one, when I saw it fight with the Dogman, and I'm telling you that first time, let me get into that for just a moment. I know it's kind of stepping backwards, but the first time I saw one and I saw it attack a Dogman, imagine a professional wrestler walking into a grade school playground and picking the nearest 8-year-old and just whooping the crap out of them. Now, Dogmen ain't no joke. They're not little. They're not weak. They're not.
So when you saw this battle go down between this Dogman and this creature, I mean, as the Dogman, I mean, as big and as fearful as it is, it was losing to this creature
Severely.
Wow.
Now, I don't think, of course, at that time, I didn't know anything about a Dogman, never heard of one, never seen one, didn't know nothing about it. I was kind of freaked out seeing it because it's what I saw first. I'd never seen one before. I'd never heard of it. The closest thing I'd ever seen to it was, werewolves in movies.
Right.
Okay, so, to me, that was just Hollywood crap. I'd never seen anything like that. I didn't believe in stuff like that. I actually, at that time, I didn't even believe Bigfoot was real. I didn't believe any of this stuff. Okay, I had no reason to. I'd never seen anything like that, never heard anything. But looking back now, I believe the Dogman that I seen that was attacked was a juvenile.
What led you to this conclusion?
Because it wasn't as big and defined and bulky as the bigger ones that I've seen since then. It just didn't have the mass and it's kind of like seeing maybe a buff teenage kid, but you could tell he's not a man yet.
Right. I see what you're saying. Yeah, he had a little, compared to the other ones that we'll get into, he had a little bit of like adolescent look to him.
Yeah, right. And, the other two Dogmen that came in that attacked the creature, this Rake thing, to get them away from the first one, they were big. They were big.
So maybe it was like an overzealous, like younger, teenager or adolescent,
right,
looking to pick a fight.
No, I don't think it was looking to pick a fight because it kind of got, what's the best term to use? Sucker punched. Like it didn't know the Rake thing was there. It just got jumped. There you go.
And okay, we'll expand upon it here shortly, but because we've talked about it before. But my whole belief is that this thing was unnatural, and that these Dogmen and Bigfoot creatures are some sort of natural creature. Do you think that may have been what caused the initial scuffle that you saw? Them just trying to get rid of something that don't belong?
I believe because of the way it went down. I saw the young Dogman first. That was the first thing I seen. And then it got slammed by this other thing. And this other thing just went off on it. I mean, it jumped him and it attacked him. And this poor young Dogman didn't have a chance. And then the other two came in and stopped it. And the Rake ran away. I believe, and it's just a belief, I'm not stating this as a fact. I believe that this Rake thing hates everything. I believe it's an evil creature. I don't believe the Dogmen I don't believe the Dogmen are an evil creature. I believe the Rake thing is. I think it will kill anything it can.
So, like humans, if the Dogman, the Bigfoot are natural creatures, then we're not inherently evil necessarily, but we can become, through our own course of actions and our own conscious choices, an evil being. But you're saying that this thing just exuded it.
Oh, absolutely. I believe that's why it made us feel such fear.
Wow. Then, I mean, just from your descriptions, it sounds like a fearful beast.
It's fearful insanity in its purest form, brother.
So moving forward just a little bit, what year did this experience happen? Your last experience when you actually hunted it down, which occurred like a few years or a year or so after the initial experience where you lost your friends tragically.
That was about 2003 when we did the hunt.
So your next experience with your current, the Dogman creatures that you've been dealing with lately, can you tell us about that, or are we jumping too far ahead?
Oh, no, because there was a pretty good gap between that last experience, and when I started experiencing things with the Dogmen after that. There was a big gap where nothing happened. I didn't have any more experiences for a long time.
And were you retired from any of your contracting duties with these agencies or the military when you had this first experience? Are you allowed to say? Or
Yes. I had. I'm not going to say I retired, but I had slowed down tremendously. After that, it was a small job here and there kind of thing.
I got you.
But it was definitely not a full-time work anymore. I've actually done on and off stuff up until 2015.
Wow.
So, yeah, the summer of 2015 was a whole nother story, but we can't get onto that in here. But anyway,
so your next experience after that one,
my next experience was pretty crazy. I mean, I had tried so hard I can't even begin to explain how hard I worked to put all that behind me. To just put it away. As a soldier, that's something that we learned to do is you put it in a box, you put it away, you put it on a shelf, you leave it alone. Otherwise, it'll drive you insane. My next experience, I went hiking, which is something I do for that's my own personal therapy. I'm an avid outdoorsman. I hunt, I hike, I fish, I swim, I go boating, I do a lot of different things. But because of my past, I don't ever go out to the I don't go out to the wilderness without a gun. But that's as much to do with human problems as I've had with the weird stuff. And y'all forgive my French here. I know I just said I was a good Christian man, but I've actually had quite a few friends that have stopped for some time now going places with me because they say I'm a weird shit magnet.
A weird shit magnet.
Yeah. I go places and weird shit happens.
All right, you got to explain that one for us.
I know I've had friends for many years that they could go places and do things out in the woods, out the lake, have nothing out of the ordinary happen. Gosh darn it, they go on a camping trip with me and we see a UFO or something. Now, let's be clear. My take on UFOs is this. It's unidentified. I ain't saying it's an alien. I'm not saying they're from the reticuli, whatever. I don't know, all that crap. Maybe it is. I don't know. But a UFO just means it's something weird, it's unidentified, and it didn't make sense. You know, so it freaks them out. And every time they go somewhere with me, something weird happens. I remember one time I went with a bunch of friends. We went on a camping trip. This is years after the whole Rake encounter thing. And maybe this just makes complete natural sense. I don't know. But all of a sudden we had, which is abnormal behavior, we had a bunch of coyotes surround our camp. And everybody kind of got weirded out, so we decided to leave. And they actually followed us all the way to the trucks. I mean, they were getting close, within 10, 15 feet of us, and they were very visible. You know, so again, more people who are like, I'm not going anywhere with you anymore. I'm a weird shit magnet. Weird stuff seems to happen when I'm around. I don't know why. But my next encounter, where I encountered a Dogman, and I've talked with you and Tex about this, and it's sensitive to me because I feel bad about it. You know, I don't feel like it's not that I feel like I did something wrong, so to speak, I guess, but I don't particularly feel good about it.
Right.
I was on a hike. I was a few miles in. Very much alone. Like I said, I always take my rifle with me. It's just personal security. You know, it's just normal to me. Maybe it's not normal to everybody, but it is for me. As I was walking along, there was a very, very sudden burst of movement. Anybody that's ever been in bear territory and been charged by a bear might understand this. I didn't know it was there. I guess it knew I was there. But all of a sudden, out of the brush, this thing comes running at me. By the time I could actually see it, I'm guesstimating 20 to 30 yards. I see fangs and fur. Let's just put it that way. I see a big, large beast snarling, growling, and charging hard. And I just reacted. I brought my rifle up. I fired 3 shots. Don't mean this in any way trying to toot my own horn, but I'm pretty damn good with a rifle, especially mine. Me and that thing are well versed together. So I'm very confident that it was full contact. There was a loud, kind of a mix between a roar and a scream. The thing dropped down in the brush, so I couldn't see it again immediately, but I could see it moving, but it was not like wide open in the clear. It's moving through the brush because this is in the springtime and this is Kentucky. There's a lot of green. There's a lot of trees, bushes, brush. When I saw it again, it raised its head up above the brush and looked towards me, and I fired one more time. And it dropped and crawled off.
So it dropped and crawled off.
Yeah.
I mean,
it
you're
didn't.
100% sure that you killed it?
I wasn't then. I knew I hit it that last time because I actually saw blood spray.
If it stuck its head above a bush, did you get a headshot?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It wasn't a perfectly good centered, clean headshot. I didn't have that good of a sight picture on it. It was, but because it was quick. I mean, it was quick. It had this whole thing. Now, I know it just took me a minute and a half to describe it, 2 minutes to describe it, but this whole thing went down in probably 10 seconds. Okay, this has happened very, very quickly. This is kind of where people get into deep crap in a courtroom when they've been in a self-defense shooting, because it takes 20 minutes to describe what went down, but the whole thing lasted a few seconds. You know, so people who don't know, who haven't been there, don't get it. But it happened very, very quickly. It wasn't till okay. I'm trying to jump ahead here. I'm sorry. Okay, so I decided at that moment, okay, that was not right, and because of my past experiences, I thought I just need to leave. I need to go. You know, because the first Dogman I seen that was attacked by the Rake, 2 more showed up.
Right.
Okay.
Could you describe the first one? Like when you look through the sights, like what color was it?
Kind of grays and browns.
Grays and browns?
Dark gray and brown. Damn good camouflage. Had the thing just stood still, I might have walked right past it.
No kidding. Yeah, that's pretty good camouflage. It's effective.
But it was making a lot of racket when it first came out.
Yeah, you said you saw fur and teeth, so it came at you aggressively to start with.
Oh, very, very much so. Very much so. It was like having a dog running at you that wants to bite you, except a hell of a lot bigger.
So you're out there hunting, and then all of a sudden, here comes this beat. Was your first? Did you initially think like, "Hey, this thing isn't any kind of natural wolf or anything I've seen," or where did your mind go? Was it like, "Hey, I got this bear being a dick to me," or you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, immediately when it burst out, because it burst out. It's not like I heard it coming and then saw it. It was like, boom, there it was. It was snarling, growling, and moving. I mean, it happened super fast. And brother, my mind went into fight or flight, and it was fight. There was no time to think about what it was, why it was, anything. All I knew at that point was I needed to react, and I needed to react right now.
It's a split decision under fire, for lack of a better term.
Yeah,
you don't really think. You just act. You identify, assess, and you act. That's what you do.
After the last shot, I was like, okay, my mind starts rolling at that point. I got to get out of here. What the hell was that? That looked like that werewolf-looking thing I seen before. Okay, because at this point, I still don't know nothing about Dogman. Okay, I hadn't went on this quest to learn about Dogmen yet. And I just knew I needed to leave. I felt very unsafe, and I needed to be gone. Well, as I was going out, and I had a few mile hike to get to the truck, I kept seeing 2 more. One far to my left, one far to my right. It's like they were trailing me out. And I kept thinking, man, I'm not going to make it out of here. Because these things are huge. I mean, they made me feel like an ant. I mean, they were huge.
What caliber gun were you using? Did you shoot that Dogman?
I was using a 5.56 AR-15. I'm very well studied on ballistics, and so I was using a very well chosen load. It's a bonded soft point bullets made for deep penetration and maximum damage.
Outstanding.
And anyway, these things tracked me all the way out till I got within sight of the truck, and then all of a sudden they were gone. And I thought, oh, you know, holy crap, I'm actually going to make it out of here. It was after that when I started getting real, as you can imagine, real interested in knowing what these things were. Now, between that encounter and my most current encounters, where there was communications that took place, I've had a ton of sightings. A ton of sightings. Between the very first time and my very last time, it's been 40 total. Now, I didn't understand for the longest time why I get to keep seeing these things. Why me?
I would say to that 40 times, like that's bananas.
Why me? Why do I keep seeing these things? Why? I'm no one special. I wasn't looking for them. I did not go looking for them. I did not go hunting for them. I did not get obsessed with, I've got to see them again. I got to see them. No, it was nothing like that. But the kind of guy I am, nothing's going to keep me out of the woods. Sorry. Unless it's radioactive and I'm going to like get cancer from walking out there, I'm going to keep going. Like I said, I don't do what I do or stop doing what I do based on fear. I don't let fear rule me.
Amen.
I can't live that way.
The God we serve doesn't give us a spirit of fear, but of a sound mind and love.
That's right, brother. So I keep seeing these things, and I keep seeing these things, and I keep seeing these things. And until very recently, I didn't understand why. Now I know why. It's not that I was just lucky enough to be seeing them. It's because they were watching me. They were keeping an eye on me. Some of them because they wanted to hurt me.
All right, and that's
some of them didn't. Some
that.
of them didn't. Some of them wanted to make sure I didn't get hurt.
Right. Can you expand upon that to the folks? Because that's one of the most interesting, and that's what really compelled me to have you on the show, is this aspect of your.
Okay. My first communication. It's been what? Gosh. What's it been now? A month and a half? I think something like that.
Since we first were in contact, I think around 2 months.
Yeah, it's been a month and a half, 2 months since we talked, when I first told you guys that I was spoken to. I had decided to go for a walk not far from my house. I didn't even have to drive. I just got him, some hiking clothes and decided to go to a little area of woods within walking distance of my house. As I was out there, I didn't hear it. I didn't see it. I didn't smell it. I didn't hear it. I just felt it. You know that feeling when you're in a room and you feel someone staring at you? Makes you kind of turn around to like, who's looking at me? It's kind of, you get a little uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you're talking about. And like, I hate that in restaurants. You look over, somebody's staring at you. It makes you want to go sit down and start eating out of their plate. You know what I mean?
Right.
Gee whiz.
So, and at this point, I'm actually sitting down on a log. So I'm not even on my feet. I'm sitting down. I'd walked a ways, and I decided to sit down, have a cigarette, and just chill out. And I felt that feeling of someone staring at me. So I looked over my left shoulder, and there is a Dogman, big as life,
Like right there, right behind you.
like 6 inches from my face.
Gee, Monelli.
Yeah, you want to talk about taking every ounce of your strength not to completely urinate all over yourself. Oh my God, he's big. He's big. And just for future reference, because we're going to get into this, he's all gray, and I call him Gray because I don't know what his name is or if he even has a name. It's just easy for me to have a reference point. And he spoke. That was
when you say he spoke, now just to clarify for the folks, did he spoke to you verbally, right? This is verbal communication.
Verbally. Like mouth moving.
So it wasn't like, mind speak.
Nope.
All right.
No, this was no telepathy, mind speak, BS. I don't know about all that crap. Well, hold on. I might be getting ahead of myself on that too, because I do think that there is a type of thing like that is how they communicate with each other, not with us.
Right. That I can believe.
But no, he spoke. Now, granted, you remember when you were a little boy, little bitty kid, and you sit in your grandfather's lap and his big deep voice. I think I
have the deepest voice in the family, but yeah, but I got where you're coming from.
Yeah, he sounded like a mountain talking. I don't know if that makes sense.
I know exactly what you mean. The uncles, my granddad, all of them, they just had, this barreling command. They could
commanding voice.
Yes, they could command attention.
Yeah, it's like that kind of guy that can walk in a room and just say, sit down, and everybody in the room sits down before they even realize that he wasn't talking to them. Now, it's deep, it's huge, it's baritone, it vibrates through my body.
Deeper than my voice?
Oh, you sound like Mickey Mouse compared to him, brother.
Wow, that's something I've never heard before in the entirety of my 34 years on Earth.
I kid you not. You sound like a small child compared.
So how tall was this thing, if you had to estimate? How tall are you? Like 6 foot, right?
Okay.
6 foot, 5'11"?
I'm right at 5'11".
All right. How much taller was this thing than you?
I weigh about 220 pounds. I'm going to say he was at least twice my height. And
wait. Twice your height?
Oh, at least.
Dad, go.
And probably 4 to 5 times my weight. I've got a 50-inch chest. And I look like a toothpick compared to this guy.
And you turn around, just going through the woods. And this is close to your home, correct?
Yeah. Man, I could walk to the same exact spot right now in less than 10 minutes.
Could you hear anything like rustling around
no,
you?
I had no clue he was there.
Wow.
None whatsoever. He was suddenly I felt that feeling. I turned around and his face, the tip of my nose was probably 6 inches from the tip of his nose.
So this creature, it has an elongated snout.
Yeah.
Compare it to, if you had to compare it to any kind of canid or canine, what would you compare it to?
Imagine a bit of a mix between a timber wolf and a German shepherd.
timber wolf and a German shepherd. That sounds like a monster. That's a cryptid in and of itself. But I see what you're saying. So it had like a pretty long snout.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, he would have this. I keep calling him a guy, but you have to understand he's become something to me now. Hollywood would love this guy. Like, he would be the perfect werewolf for a movie.
So nothing. In other words, that was going to be my next question. These werewolf movies that come out, because there's a lot of people who say, "Oh, well, the Van Helsing creature, this, that, and the other thing." Can you compare it to any creature? What you're describing doesn't sound like anything I've ever even heard of before.
I've never seen anything that quite matches it in a movie. Not quite. What would be close? Have you ever seen a movie called Dog Soldiers?
That's funny you asked that. If you're asking me personally, no. And that's something that the last time Tex and I talked about movies, he said that that's one I'd like. I adamantly stay away from those movies, but he said that I would actually dig that one. So
I haven't seen it myself. I just know that a friend of mine took some screenshots and showed them to me and said, "Hey, was it, kind of like this?" It's not exact, but it's close. If I could slightly alter to be something more familiar, the Van Helsing one, okay? Give him a more natural color first off, not all that black fur in the movie.
Right.
I have seen that movie, which is kind of cool movie. But anyway, spread the ears out just a bit more. And make them look more like a real wolf in the face. I mean, he didn't look like some non-anatomically correct wolf. He looked very wolfish in the face. Just the reason I say between a timber wolf and a German shepherd was because the snout seemed his snout's a bit thinner than what I would expect on a wolf. Other than that, the rest of it's pretty wolfish. Wolfish. Wow, what a term.
So you turn around and this thing begins to speak.
He didn't act threatening. He didn't seem angry. Or actually, now that I look back on it, his voice was actually kind of soothing. And I've had 3 more conversations with him since then. They're short. It's not like we sit around for hours and shoot the crap. We're not dudes at a bar having a beer. But I have come to learn some things from him. Now, his speech, me and you discussed this before, D. His speech is somewhat forced. Some of the pronunciations are a little bit awkward. I can tell he's not used to talking like this on a normal basis or a regular basis, I should say.
Yeah, and that's something that Tex and I discussed. Like, I'm no Jane Goodall or a primatologist, or this wouldn't be a primate even. So, but the elongated snout and the mechanisms that I would have.
I think I might have lost you there for a second, D.
Oh, sorry about that. Can you hear me again? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I was saying, Tex and I were talking about that, and we're talking about the mechanisms in its voice that would allow it to talk.
Well, the biomechanics of that,
Right.
just alone. I mean, it's going to have.
I will tell you right now, when you see it, it doesn't make sense even when you're seeing it.
I can understand that.
and I still haven't gotten used to it. I don't know that I ever will.
I don't know that you ever could.
But I do know that these dogmen are not. There's so much more about them that's beyond our understanding. Like I thought, you know, I know it's been discussed on the show many times before, or mentioned at least, and I thought so too, that there was, like, there's a lot of Bigfoot, but only a few dogmen. You know what I mean?
That's
right.
an ongoing.
I've come to understand that's not the case. My understanding is that there's probably as many or more. It's just that they are even more elusive. They are hyper intelligent, human intelligence, not like a wolf is smart. Okay. Canines can figure things out. They'll pattern people. They'll start understanding maybe not why people do things, but they understand that people do things, and they'll learn to avoid situations or learn that they can sneak in at certain times. No, that's not the intelligence I'm talking about. I'm talking about smart like you and me right now.
Now, I know I credit Sasquatch as having killer whale level intelligence.
I'll say it's vastly more than that.
And I know you do. I know you do.
At this point, I'm starting to think maybe D might be more onto something there. Honestly, because after I've seen the level of intelligence with these dogmen, because they coexist. A lot of people think that they have a problem with each other. And my understanding now is that that's not so much the case. It's kind of like I told you guys before. It's like wolves and bears sharing the same territory.
But that begs the question, if that's the case, why do we not see more evidence of tools and fire being used?
We do.
No, I'm not talking about crude stone tools.
Well,
why do we not see?
I think I might be able to help with that a little bit. A little. I can't give you a full-on explanation. It's not like...
Sure, it's all just ideas anyway. You know?
Well, I've asked questions. I'm an inquisitive person when it comes to these things, and I couldn't help myself. As far as creatures of the woods, as was put to me, is how it was put to me. Because people ask all the time, how come we're not finding their bodies? How come we're not finding their bones? How come we're not they don't want you to. Because they're smart enough and intelligent enough at this point. They've been here a lot longer than we have. Both of them, Bigfoot and Dogman, have been here longer than humans have.
Well, I have a theory that Anubis was maybe not the first, but one of the first dogmen.
Right. Well, I mean, we'll save that for an AM show. Let's
right.
And I do believe that they purposefully and intelligently take steps to avoid humans from seeing and finding and knowing more than we do, because they are wise enough to understand at this point, being as they have been dealing with humans for a lot longer than we've been dealing with them.
Do you?
I mean, that makes sense. You know, they
know that we're a problem.
I'm going to call. I'm going to call for a little speculation on your part here.
Okay.
But do you think it's possible that the government has communicated with these things further, and it's almost a team effort between them and the government? Maybe they have some kind of deal.
That's interesting. That is possible. That is possible. Now, and I say that not just so much because of what I've learned from communicating with Gray, but I say it just as much because I know how the alphabet agencies work.
Right.
I
Now,
mean, it begs the question. I mean, it really does. Because,
Yeah, I mean, it's all speculative. We can
well,
speculate
right.
like all that we want, but
they obviously know more about us than I thought they did. From communicating with Gray, like anybody that may walk around in the woods, if you think they don't notice you have a gun on because you got it carried on your shoulder rather than in your
Right.
hands in a ready position, they know. They know what a gun is.
They
They know
would
what a knife is.
Yeah,
they know what fire is. I mean, they're smart.
They've been around here for thousands of years, coexisting with people. I mean,
Yeah.
if we didn't learn from them, they learned from us. Or I mean, it's just it had to happen.
It was made clear to me that the talent that Gray showed me of being able to speak with me, he's not the only one.
right, and that's what I want to get back to. Let's
a lot of them can do that.
We'll have you back on for an AM show now.
I'm
just like everybody else. Let's get to the heart of the matter. This thing's communicating with you. What is it saying? Like,
all right. Well, the most important part, and to me, the most pertinent part to me personally about communicating with Gray was that I wanted to understand why I keep seeing them. Why me? I'm a hunter. I'm a killer. I'm a trained killer. I mean, that's what I did most of my life. So why would they? He's the one that explained to me that encounter with the one that I had, that I shot, was an adolescent male, and he died. He died from the wounds that I inflicted. I'm trying so hard not to get emotional about it, but it bothers me. It bothers me a lot.
Yeah, but we've talked about this. You can't, and I know you're going to, and I know it's hard not to, but you don't need to beat yourself up. You don't need to feel you can feel remorse, but I hate to see you feeling guilt, because
I know, brother. I'm working on that.
In your mind, it was a survival moment, and that's all it was.
Yeah, I'm not a murderer. I've never been that. That's something I could never be.
I mean, honestly, look at it this way: if they can put the shoe on the other foot, okay, the Dogman that got attacked by the Rake,
right?
How did he didn't just stand there and wait for something to happen? He fought back. So when you're threatened, you fought back. They know this, but
let's let him finish, because he explained to me like the understanding that these creatures had.
That's where they watched me. That's why I seen them so many times afterwards. Is because they were watching me. They wanted to see who I was. Am I going to be that guy? Am I going to be a threat? And over the years, they've come to understand that I'm not. Now, it doesn't mean that there are not some, from what has been conveyed to me, not just my guess. This is what's been told to me. Some of them are not happy with me because of what happened. Some of them have for lack of a better term, a grudge. But the older ones see it differently. There's a level of forgiveness. And I say that because I talked to Gray about wanting to talk to you, D, and to you, Tex, specifically about this. Now, I didn't tell him your names because it's not like he would know who you are anyway. But I said, I have two brothers I need to talk to about this. It's important. And he said, his words, not mine. You can, if you will confess your sin, so that you can be forgiven.
Oh, wow. That's the part that
And that was a huge, huge, huge paradigm shift for me. Because those very concepts of sin and forgiveness are very, very much a human and Christian thing. Now, please, nobody, I'm not saying all the dogmen are Christians. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I think they know who God is. I believe that. I believe they know who God is. Otherwise, why would he want me? He was not okay with me talking to you guys unless he knew that I was willing to confess what I've done.
Well,
Confess
I don't think,
my sin is what he said. My sin.
and I've been thinking about this since we talked, and um, and you're by no stretch of the imagination are you saying they're Christians. We can't even say that it's the God that we're talking about that he's talking about.
yeah, but you can though, because our God's the
no,
only God that can offer forgiveness for sins.
well, but he's not. But look, what he could be using sin as that's their name for crime,
No,
or a travesty.
like sin is sin. There's no other religion on planet Earth that talks about sin except Judeo-Christianity, Catholicism, if you want to count that. But I mean, you don't hear Krishna, Hinduism, Buddhists talking about remission of sins.
Okay, but you're thinking in human terms.
Yeah, I mean, it can be very different because they are not
creator, and we are creations. If there is a creator, then he has creations, which a part of things a part of natural wildlife would be. I'm thinking in the terms that there is a sky chief, one eternal God from everlasting to everlasting, who in the book, that's his spoken word, in the beginning there was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That's the lenses that I'm looking towards. We can quantify it and rationalize it all you want to, but we're talking about someone speaking of, or some creature, speaking of God, Jehovah, Yahweh, whatever you want to call him.
Well, now there was one other thing that happened when he said this to me. As he was speaking those words, there was one other thing that happened that I think is very important for people to hear, because it's something, it showed a different level of something that I'm not sure people know that these creatures are capable of. When he said that to me, what impacted me so deeply, I'm sure every single person listening here can relate to this. When you're a little child and your mama goes to comfort you and she says something sweet to you and she touches your face. Tenderly now, not just puts her hand on you like she's trying to put her fingerprints on something. Tenderly. Everybody's got to know what that is. That's compassion. Because that's what he did. He brushed my cheek with his fingers. And it made me cry. I mean, I couldn't help myself. I felt like somebody was saying, hey, you made a mistake. It was a mistake. And I forgive you. Now, we could go back and forth as to whether Gray believes in Jesus Christ or not. I don't 100% know that yet, because I'm looking forward to more conversations, and I'm sure we're going to have them. But and I'm not trying to agree or disagree with either of you. What I am saying is I truly got the feeling
All right.
You've been to church. You know what it's like when you feel God?
I felt God more outside
When you feel
of
his presence?
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. Like,
Okay, that's what I felt. When he said that to me and touched my face, I felt that. Now, was that just me? Or was that because God was in the midst of us? I'm not going to swear one way or the other to that. But what I do know is I'm just telling you what I heard, what happened, and what it felt like.
yeah, absolutely.
And this is real, people. To everybody listening, to everybody in the chat, I want you to understand something. I really care deeply about this subject, about what we're dealing with, about this world that we're facing right now, because it's becoming very different very quickly, and a lot of us aren't prepared for it. But I'm telling you right now, what I'm telling you is the truth. It's reality, and it's what went down.
So what else did he enlighten you about? I mean,
before that, this is my whole thing, and then we can move on from this certain aspect of your ordeal. When he said that you had to confess your sins, who did he say to confess them to?
I had to tell you guys.
To
Before he was comfortable with me telling you about me and him, about mine and his conversations, I needed to tell you
that you kill that one.
That I killed that young man. Listen to me, young man. That young dog man. That no, it was not intentional. No, I didn't go out there to murder him. But it was wrong anyway. In their eyes, it was wrong no matter what, no matter why, no matter how, it was wrong. It was a wrongdoing. But because it wasn't malicious, it wasn't intentional, I wasn't hunting them, I didn't go out there to kill something, is why they've watched me for so long and why I've seen so many of them, but they haven't harmed me.
Well,
they've been in my backyard, guys. They've been in my backyard.
This is my whole thing on, and this is why I ask you that. You confess your sins to Jesus Christ. I mean, in my opinion, and this isn't my religion, this is my faith as a born again believer. The only way to go through the Father is through the Son. We confess.
True.
We
Very
confess
true.
our sins before the Lord.
But is it not biblical that
yeah,
if a brother has done something wrong, you confront him, you talk amongst yourselves first. If that doesn't work, then you go to your church leadership.
That's Catholicism, I believe.
No, that's biblical, brother. It's in the book.
It is, but we have an advocate in our Lord Jesus Christ.
You can't forgive me.
No, I can't. Yeah,
you can't forgive me. Tex can't forgive me. My wife can't give me forgiveness. Now, you guys can forgive me if I wrong you, but you can't forgive me of my sins.
Right, but we confess our sins in front of man. But we have an advocate in the Lord Jesus Christ. That's all.
My gosh.
You know what I mean?
No. I just got some. I just had a moment of clarity there for a second. I didn't think about this before. But us talking here now tonight, because we haven't talked about this in a tremendous amount of depth, me, you, and Tex.
No, this is the longest.
We just talked about it a little bit. When he touched my face with his right hand, I was just sitting here trying to picture the situation, picture the scenario, trying to run it back through my mind, everything, how it happened, because I'm human, okay? I make mistakes. I miss things.
All fall short.
Okay. His left hand was palm up. Does that mean anything? I don't know.
It's a good question. I have no idea, bro. Like, maybe in some like denominations, but that's the religion of man.
I don't know. It just made me wonder, because when we started talking about the forgiveness thing, I wondered if that's what he was trying to say, it wasn't you guys I needed to confess to. Maybe I wasn't paying attention.
I wouldn't help but pay attention. I mean, if a big monster's verbally talking to me, that's. But
it's hard when he's there.
Paying attention don't have anything to do with it. Okay, you're trying to take in something that is putting it lightly, is overwhelming, and
quite. It's overwhelming every time. I haven't gotten used to it,
and you have to sit back and dissect it when it's all said and done. The idea that you're going to understand every aspect of what he's saying and what the meaning behind it, that's a 1 in a million shot.
Well, all I know is
the only way that you're going to have that question answered is to ask him. Tell him what you've done. Tell him, but you're confused, and get a clear answer on what he was talking about as far as sin and as far as asking forgiveness and who you were supposed to confess it to. Because
that's going to happen. That's going to happen.
That's the only way you're going to clear this up.
I've thought about that. All I know is the way I took it when he said that to me.
Oh, I understand wholeheartedly how it made you feel. That is a moving moment. I mean, that is beyond a spiritual moment.
Yeah, if I was going to tell you guys what's going on, I had to tell you everything.
Right.
I couldn't tell you. That's how I took it. Don't go tell them you see us, you talk to us, you know us now, and leave out the part where you did something bad.
Right.
That's how I took that.
Yeah, you needed to not just say part of this. You needed to come clean with the whole story. I think
because I'm not happy with the fact that I killed one.
Well, no.
I'm really not. I mean, I don't want to kill them. They don't want to kill me. If they wanted to kill me, believe me, I'd have been dead several times over. There would have been nothing I could do to stop that.
No.
Could I have killed one or two more? Maybe. But I guarantee you I would have been some mincemeat very quickly.
Yeah, you'd have been dead right around
look,
that.
I shot this thing 3 times and then shot it in the head, and it left.
Yeah.
Okay. With the kind of rifle, the kind of skill that I've used to defend fellow soldiers in fields of combat, and I've watched. Now, I'm going to get real about this, and this is not something I feel bad about. I've watched many enemy combatants hit the dirt due to my right finger. Okay?
It's a different feeling.
I'm well known that when B pulls the trigger, something falls. I'm good at what I do. I'm damn good at what I do. And I don't say that in a bragging manner because it ain't nothing to brag about, but it is a fact of life. I'm good at what I do.
But these things are on a whole new level.
But they're different. I don't know why they're here. At this point, I don't know that yet. I don't know why they've been here. I don't know what the point of them even being in this world was for in the beginning. I don't know. Did God make them before he made us? I don't know. I don't know the whole story. All I know is this. Is I was told that they've been here, at least here, where I'm at now, they've been here a lot longer than we have.
Well, I think you've just cracked the book on this stuff. I mean, it's just, there's a lot more to learn.
I wish with all my heart I could get you guys audio. I could get you guys camera footage.
Well, honestly, I'd bring my black ass down there and see for myself. You know what I mean? Like, I'd love to go and meet Gray.
Not that I can't afford it. It's not that I just refuse to do it because I don't want to spend money on equipment. They don't want it.
Right.
I've been in the woods with my cell phone in my hand many times. Guess what? I don't never see jack crap but everyday stuff when that happens. But there's a lot of times I go to the woods where I'm like, you know what? I want to be left alone today. I don't want any phone calls. I don't want any text messages. I leave my stuff in the car. I grab my rifle and I go for a walk. And that's when I see them.
Right.
They're
and
smart.
I know we've had a conversation about taking this a step further, and you have yet to have the opportunity to talk to them about that. So, and that's the first step.
Oh,
So,
I'm excited about that actually, brother. Oh my gosh, am I excited about that. Because if I can get something done with that, then
well,
because
we're
here's what I
looking at
want.
rewriting history. I mean,
let me clarify my goal, my intentions, my hopes, wishes, and dreams, which is the reason why I'm doing this show at all tonight, why I'm willing to bare my soul tonight to everybody listening. I don't want people to hate these things. I don't want people to run around terrified of these things. If these things wanted to hurt us, we'd be screwed already. We would already be in deep crap. If they wanted to hurt us, there'd be a whole lot of dead people right now. I just want to help people understand. I want people to understand. I want people to grasp the idea and the fact that just because they're different, just because they look scary to us, because, I mean, let's face it, when we're naked and don't have a weapon, we are feeble little creatures. We are not top of the food chain. The only thing that makes us apex predators, the only thing that makes us top of the food chain is because of technology and weapons. You take that away, and we're no different than a rabbit. We're just food.
I don't know about all that. I mean,
well, I mean, you know what? Okay.
The way
Let me put this in the context.
The way I see it, we're made in the image of the one true God, so we're going to be on top regardless. That's just me. Whether we have weapons or not,
yeah, I get you. But my point is you're not going to go out in your underwear and fight a bear.
Well, speak for yourself. I may, but I wouldn't do that.
Well, yeah, you might, but the next D we see is going to be a pile of D-shaped poop, because he's going to eat you. But and that goes for me too, brother. That goes for me too. You know what? I've been trained in hand-to-hand combat for over 20 years. There's no way in God's green earth I would even think about puffing my chest up to one of these guys. Not like that. But you know what? We don't have to, because they're not about that. We're not competition. To them, we are the threat.
Well, of course we are.
We're the concern. Because
we're the superior predator on planet Earth.
Well, it's not just that. We have the ability to cause them problems on a scale that they don't. You know, they're not going to call in the Black Hawks and the APCs. We can. You know, I could call in a couple warthogs and an F-16 and wipe out a whole town. They can't.
Right.
You know, and it's not that.
Well, I want you to be careful, bro. Like,
they don't want us to be a threat. They don't want to be a threat to us. That's my belief, anyway. That's my belief. I'm not saying I can't state that stuff as factual. Like, this is a fact. This is, like, the president of the Dogman came to me and said, no. It's just that All I know is if they wanted me gone, I'd have been gone, and they didn't.
And this is an ongoing thing. It's like you're still going out and.
Oh, yeah, this is going to continue to be an ongoing thing because I won't quit. Not now, because as far as I'm concerned, me and Gray are friends. I feel like he's my friend. I don't know if he feels the same way. But I don't feel the last time I talked to him, it's still hard not to feel a little intimidated because he's so big. He's such a powerful creature, but I'm not afraid. I mean, I'd have him over for dinner if he'd come over for dinner.
All right. Well, I'll just ask, like, to what end, to what
Understanding.
Understanding.
I just want to understand more. I want to know more. I want to know why. I want to know why there's more sightings now than ever. I want to know why because as far as Dogman, as far as Bigfoot goes, it seems like it's on an increase, right?
Yeah, I'd say a lot of field investigators, including myself, think that we're in the middle of a population boom.
Right. It's like they're getting bolder. Is that good or is that bad? I'd like to know.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a wife and I got children. I got friends. I got family. And, not just that. It's not just that. No. Hold on. Let me back up there for a second. It's not just about me and mine. I've got a whole bunch of scars. I've got old injuries that are going to be with me for the rest of my life because I love, truly, my countrymen. You know what? What state are you in right now? You're in Texas, right?
Me? Yeah. We're both in Texas.
Okay, you're in Texas.
Texas can't leave Texas or he'll turn into sand.
You're still my neighbor.
True that.
Doesn't matter that we live 1,000 miles apart, bro. You're still my neighbor. You're my countryman. You're my brother.
Absolutely.
Every one of you, everybody in the chat right now, you're my brothers, you're my sisters. You live in this country, you're my countrymen, you're my countrywomen. I love you. I've put everything on the line for that 100 times, and I'll do it again. And I just kind of see this the same way. I want to know more about what's going on, and I want to know why. Maybe, hey, I'm not stupid, and I'm not gullible. Maybe I'm being set up. Maybe I'm being set up and used to make people more comfortable because I don't know what their ultimate purpose is or what their ultimate goal is. But right now, I don't feel that. I just don't feel that.
LEL.
Like I said, if they wanted to do me harm, they could have, brother. If they wanted to harm my family, my wife, my kids, my dogs, they could have.
That.
My neighbor, the guy right next door, sweet guy, sweet guy. Every once in a while, this guy will even come over and he'll mow his lawn and he'll just like mow mine too, just for the hell of it. Wonderful, wonderful neighbor. You couldn't ask for a better neighbor. Me and him talk a lot because he's seen them in my backyard. He knows now what's going on too.
So your neighbor has seen these.
Oh, yeah, he has. Yeah, he has. Yeah, me and him have had a few conversations. Called me up the first time and said, man, there is something in your backyard, and it's very big. Do you want me to call the cops? I said, no. Let me see what's going on. And ever since then, there's been 3 or 4 different occasions where he's called me up and he's like, they're in your backyard again.
Wow.
Now, I live Oh gosh, maybe a mile from city limits. So I'm actually in town, fellas. Technically, I'm in town because they watch. They're smart.
All right, I have another. This is one of my team members because there's so many people. We almost hit 500 live, which is far beyond the record, twice that. But one of Matthew LaFleur, he's my field investigator for the Northern Hemisphere. I don't really give
I've seen Matt on the
Matt's
chat
great
before.
That's my brother. He wanted me to ask what grain of round did you shoot the first one with? What were your optics and your barrel twist?
He's speaking my language. Okay, I tell you what. I'm a gun guy. Okay. I'm using a mid-length AR with a 1 1/8 twist barrel, 62 grain bonded soft point bullets. They are loaded for me. They are not a factory produced load. And just to give him a little bit more than he asked, in ballistic testing, they've given me about 25 inches of penetration with an average of 35 caliber expansion.
Outstanding. You know your stuff.
Yeah, I'm a ballistics nerd. That's been part of my studies for a long time.
So, and of course, we'll probably be doing a follow-up to this.
Wait. He asked one other thing about that I didn't answer. I'm using a Leupold 1 1/4 to 4 power scope. So that completes his answer.
All right, sweet. There you go, brother Matt. For everyone who joined us, we'll jump back on for part 2. I'd like to thank Tex for jumping on and joining me. I know he's not got any. It's already midnight. Wow, this is a long show. If Tex didn't do anything, maybe we can jump back on to an AM show, grab some more people. There's a few more guests I'd like to bring on. I'd especially like to thank my guest, Mr. Brian Ritchie.
Anytime, brother. Anytime.
Yeah, so you'll be, of course, coming back to see us. Again, thanks everyone for watching this edition of the BDRP Late Show. I love you all, and I'll see you on the AM show.
Love you guys.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for your service, Brian.
Hey,
thank you, sir.
Absolutely, brothers. Love you guys, and
love you too, man.
I'm here.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Bye-bye.
Later, brothers.
1 week later.